Hello, today I would like to introduce a new feature. It's called staging. We actually had staging in Tracardi. We had stage workflows, so you had like a working copy and a production. And right now we can stage all the data that is in Tracardi. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's see what we've got in the new version. Before I begin, I would like to ask you to start our project on GitHub, link below, and subscribe to this channel. This is the simplest and the easiest way to support our project. Let's go to maintenance and deployment, and you can see that there's a new section. We have 3 buttons, and one of the button is test on production, the other one is revert production, and the last one is deploy to production. What does it mean? Now you have the ability to transfer the configuration that you've done in the one system to the copy of the same system but the production version. So let's try to test on production, and we have a warning that now you will link all the changes in your current environment to the production server. That means that all the event stream will come through the configuration you have in your staging server, and all the data will be saved in production. You will not see the data coming from production. The data will only be processed by the workflows you've prepared. Okay, and we have an error, and it says that you probably don't have production installed. This you can see when you don't have 2 versions of Tracardi installed. One is a staging server and the other one is production. The difference between staging server and production is just one environment variable saying production yes or no. I have set this setup with production no, and now I will make it okay and install a new production copy. Remember that you have to also install this production, not only run a Docker. Okay, now I have 2 copies of Tracardi. This one is a staging server. This is where we will work and do all the changes. And this one is a production server. So right now let's make some changes. Let's create a new source, for example. Notice that there is no source here. We have source on the staging only. And now let's try to deploy this change into the production. Or maybe we also can do one more thing, create a workflow. And we have a workflow. Let's make a simple one with start and end. Okay, save it. And now let's go to maintenance and go into the deployment. We'll start with a test on production. Okay, it is successful. Let's go to production, and here we can see that we have our event source, and if we go to integration we see our integration. Remember that access to the production server should have only admin, and there should be no changes on the production. So because right now what we've done, we actually connected all the data that is here to the production, what actually means that I can even make some changes here. Let's save it. Let's go to the staging server. You can see there's a change. So I can just make another change, and when I refresh you can see the change as well. So now all the data that is coming to the server in production, we can actually test it. Let's go and test page view event, submit. There is our event, and you can see that this data is not populated here. If you go here, it's nothing here. So you actually, what you did, you put through the data through the configuration that is on this server, and it works. This is just for testing purposes, so you can test on the real data, and then at some point in time, you can say, okay, there's an error, and I see that my data is not the right one, and you can revert it. Okay, so the data is still there because it must be collected. You can't lose data, but in here you don't have event sources and you don't have any integration, anything. So this is just a simple way to test what I've done on the staging server in production. And when we are ready and we say, okay, everything is good, everything works good, we can deploy to production. It means that actually we will copy permanently all the changes from the staging server to the production. Now, success, all the changes were copied, and then when we come here, we see all the events and event sources, and we can also see the integration and everything. It's here, and here we can start from scratch, so we can start adding new workflows, and it will not be visible here. Let's make a change. For example, there's new workflow, and you can see there's none here. Okay, and this is how the staging server works. You need 2 copies of Tracardi. I can go to my code so you can see that what you actually need on production server. You need production no on staging server and production yes on production server. And of course you have to have it on different ports if you have it on the same IP address. We also have only one Elasticsearch host because we host everything in one server. Actually, we can go and see how it works, because when we go into maintenance and indices, you can see that there are indices in my production server, and here they're prefixed with prod. They're all connected. But when we go to maintenance and we do the same, you can see that all my staging indices are connected, by the production indices are not. If we make a test deployment, okay, let's go again to indices, and what you see that some indices are not connected right now. They're actually disconnected from the production, and the aliases actually where the data comes from, it's like a symbolic link, are reconnected to staging. So right now you see that also production and staging writes to this index. So this is how it works. You can, when you revert, you will copy, relaying the data from this staging environment to the production. So we can also do this, revert, and here we go. We are back with the same configuration as before. Okay, this is how staging works. This is a nice feature. It's available on open source version of Tracardi, so everybody can test it. You can test it with the version 0.8.0.